It was a magical day in Mexico City for Daniel Suarez. Qualifying didn't go his way. He crashes, has to start in the back in a backup car, but oh, was he there to finish.
Yeah, after this crash, as we see in qualifying, into the barrier hard, goes in that backup car, starts the back, and marches his way forward. Gets to the front here with a crash at the front of the field between Zilich and Ty Gibbs, but he never looked back from this moment on.
He holds on for the victory. And a celebration he will never forget. What a day for Daniel Suarez. Another great day for Junior Motorsports. Can they continue the ride? Next Saturday, we'll find out. We're live in Pocono, on the air, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on CW.
From NASCAR right back to Miami Beach and the world's best beach volleyball players. I mean, the real question is, who's going to crash and burn in this one? Phil Dalhausser, Trevor Crabb versus James Shaw and Cam Shalk. A couple rookies on one side of the net as you look to the format. Again, if you're learning about the AVP League, we're so grateful to have you right here. Just its second year in this format. We made some changes. They are fighting for this AVP League Cup. That is the win-loss record of both the men's and women's teams combined. Again, that will be determined after all of our 8-week season has been played out. Each of our 8 teams fighting for that singular championship. They want it, and this man does. He has over 60 career AVP Heritage Series titles, over 100 career international and domestic titles combined. But the one thing he doesn't have is an AVP League Cup. Can the Palm Beach Passion find it when you look to this team littered with Olympians?
Yeah, I mean, you would hope so. It is Phil Dalhausser's final season of competition, so it's always a little bittersweet to see, in my opinion, the greatest of all time kind of hang it up. They're 2-1 on the season. Got a good win last night in that Crabb Boyle, Trevor and Taylor Crabb squaring off against one another. And Trevor in particular was fantastic. 14 kills and a 550 hitting clip. Phil Dalhausser, always good, hitting 1,000 last night in the 7 opportunities he had. A perfect 7 for 7, and that is just indicative of what makes him the greatest to ever step on the sand.
It is truly a game of keep away when Phil Dalhausser is on the sand. He was 7 for 7, like you mentioned. For Trevor Crabb, this is a new partnership, and they are trying to figure out how they best come together. They felt like last night's performance was the most complete performance they've had thus far.
Yeah, relatively new partnership, as you said, so they're still kind of figuring things out amongst one another, but did a great job of it last night. Phil, you know, we thought he might be a little bit hobbled. You see the tape around his calf there. It's just a little tender, but it didn't seem to affect him. As I mentioned, hitting a perfect 7 for 7 yesterday evening. So the greats find a way to get it done, and there's the man himself, 6'9", spry, 45 years of age.
A youthful-looking Phil Dalhausser back out on the sand. And on the other side, the Miami Mayhem, a little different story, as you've got 2 rookies, yet 1 Olympian still in this matchup. Why is James Shaw the right fit for Cam Shaw?
Why is he? Yeah, I mean, James is a huge presence offensively. He's a great setter. We know that his serve is an incredible weapon. And then Cam, that you see running out on the sand there, is just kind of a masterclass in steadiness, great receiver, controller of the volleyball, and has been doing it for a long time at a high level. So he's a great kind of mentor as well to James Shaw.
James Shaw moving from the indoor game to beach. He was an indoor professional for a multitude of seasons, 6 or so, before switching over to beach. Loves the learning curve that comes here to the sand. And for Phil Dalhausser, well, he's got a little bit of a tricky serve. Let's check in about his serving strategy.
All right, I'll use my float serve, and I'll start off with, we'll call it the fastball, like low, flat one, right? And then once they're used to that pace, then I'll try to make it the same trajectory, but we'll say 25% slower. So then they get ready, they're there early for the fastball, and it just throws the timing off. It's not really for an ace, but just maybe a bad pass, and you know.
Right now he stands at the net. You'll get a chance to see that tricky serve shortly. I mean, it really highlights just the amount of thought that comes into every phase of the game, as there's the quick option. I know you all have learned it if you've been watching the broadcast. Now it's on the men's side.
Yeah, and it's a big part of the offense of the Miami Mayhem men's side as well. James Shaw, you see how offensive he can be. And then have a look at this serve.
Phil lets that one go, and rightly so. James Shaw had 4 aces in their match last night, and it was a tough battle for Shalk and Shaw. Here's a look at that serve from Phil Dalhausser. Looking for the fastball.
That was the fastball attempt. It only made it about 60 feet instead of 60 feet 6 inches.
Ball 1.
Yeah, that is ball 1.
Still looking for the strike. Trevor Crabb, the big brother, picked up the win and unfortunately picks up the error. And Kevin Barnett down on the sand. What are you eyeing in this matchup?
Strategy for Palm Beach. I had a little talk with Trevor Crabb, and he said, look, it's 2 parts. One, with that serve, we're going to hope for some errors. And you know it's a weapon when the other team says they're going to hope for some errors. Otherwise, they'll try and step in the way. The other thing you're going to do is start off serving Kame Shalk. You saw that already, but they need to keep him off balance to keep James out of those on-2 opportunities. So serving strategy being executed by Palm Beach, but on the other side, that first pass and kill from James is exactly what the other side wants to do to create some mayhem.
A perfect use of the word, and you said it. So they're going to start on Kame. They've got to get him off balance. Let's see what Trevor Crabb dials in here.
Yeah, easier said than done with Shalk because he is, as I mentioned, an exceptional receiver of serve. You really got to make him move.
Even there, fights off the middle, jump set, taken, and swing down the line. What makes for a great passer?
Well, I mean, he's got a tremendous platform, right? My college coach would remind us ad nauseum that the ball knows angles. So if you're just able to lay your arms out there and create good angles, the ball has no choice but to obey. Kind of, you know, it sounds simple. It's quite the opposite.
A pretty impressive angle there from Phil Dalhausser, 6'9", and stands right back up. Flat swing for Shaw. I wonder how his nerves are doing now that he's on the sand.
Well, I'm sure they're much more under control now that he's got a little bit of the wheel.
Yeah, now Molly sits courtside.
Yeah, now she gets to sweat it out.
Biting her fingernails.
Our manicure bill's gone up tremendously.
You know, it's funny too, we asked him just in regards to being on the same team, what would have happened if they were placed on opposing teams? They said, this is the much better version.
Yeah. We plead the 5th. So we highlight Phil's serve, and he promptly misses his first 2.
Room for improvement.
Yeah.
Give us something to say. Phil Dalhausser playing defense. A little off balance on the turn there for Phil, but I mean, this guy has won an AVP Heritage title, split blocking with Andy Benish.
Well, yeah, the surprise is not the dig that Phil got. The surprise is that he hit the set out of bounds, his first error all weekend long offensively.
It's a great call by you. And talking with James and Kame, the conversation was they want to get this crowd on their side. They are the hometown team, as you see Trevor Crabb, the perfect anti-hero, we'll call it. The black hat of the AVP.
There's a hero in all of us, but there's only a villain in a few of us. One of those is Trevor Crabb.
You see Kame Shalk at the service line. I mentioned he's an Olympian. He actually played for Team Canada. He's now become a U.S. citizen, and his goal is to win the AVP League Cup first and foremost in 2025. That serve 53 miles per hour. We're going to track that one for James Shaw. We got a radar gun on him.
Yeah, if you watch baseball readouts, that doesn't sound like the fastest thing, but stand out there and see if you can kind of pass that with any kind of control. 53 exceptionally high.
There's a big difference there. One, you get to hit with a bat. The other, you have to use your forearms.
Right, correct. Important distinction.
Beautiful platform, but what are some of the keys to an option play in terms of that first contact?
Well, what you see Kame attempting to do there is kind of push it wide so that, you know, they can make Phil try and guess where it's coming from. He pushes it just a touch too wide, and you see James can't kind of reach it over his shoulder. So you want to get that separation, you want to get that spread offense going, but you know, with any added risk or any added reward does come a little bit of added risk as well.
Shaw chooses to set up his partner here and attacks out of the middle.
Yeah, Kame has those little kind of baby roll shots in both directions, so out of the middle's a good spot for him to attack from.
Talked about Shaw and his career coming from the indoor game and moving over to professional beach volleyball. And he truly has found a second love, a second passion now back on the beach. He dealt with some injuries indoors, said his body feels better than ever now that he's on the sand. Played his ball at Stanford and was actually a setter, so you get to see some really nice placement from that second contact in him.
Well, yeah, just kind of highlighting his all-around skill set. Setter and opposite player professionally overseas, and so he can hammer the ball as well. If you know anything about indoor volleyball, that's the go-to offensive guy.
Also son to the legendary Shaw, the coaching Shaw family tree.
Yeah, Don Shaw, coach at Stanford for a long, long time.
So the last number was 53. What will this serve be? 56. I mean, what is too much heat for the Palm Beach Passion? Clearly not 56 miles per hour.
Well, yeah, I got slowed down just a touch off the top of the tape, maybe, but Phil handles it well and gets right back to his successful ways offensively.
Phil chooses to stay on the ground here. Maybe just a different elevation, not the step in and serve.
Yeah, just a little bit out of sorts in his serving game. Still trying to drive those fastballs, as he called them. It's hard to get your deceptive service game going if 3 out of your first 4 don't find the court.
I'm really hoping we don't get blamed for that one. Trevor Crabb checks down to the sideline thinking that might have been out. Wow. What a touch. Now he's going to have to get creative. They've already had 1 double block on the year. This time it's all responsibility to Phil Dalhausser.
Wow. How about the wrist action from James Shaw? I didn't know that was possible. Does he have an owl's neck connected to the end of his arm?
You can turn 360, 0-degree turn.
Phenomenal. Let's see if we get a good look at the wrist. It's the block from Phil. It's going to come right into your living room here. Oh, yeah.
Timeout taken here on the sand. Shalk and Shaw up 11-8. And we're going to check in with Kevin Barnett now for more on Shalk.
Yeah, you might know that Kame grew up playing on his home court in a backyard. His brother built it, or his dad built it. His brothers and he were playing out there a bunch. And a couple of years ago, his brothers came to visit while Kame was gone. They're goofing around in Kame's SoCal backyard with his cousin filming, having fun, and they film this. Kame comes home and they tell him to post it, to put it on social. And Kame says, all right, I'll put it on stories. No, bro, put it on a reel. Well, he did. He listened to his brothers, and it blew up. 630,000 likes, 15 million views. It blew up his follower count. He said, it's maybe the best thing I've ever done is post that video, and I wasn't even a part of it. I just put it on my social.
That's amazing. You gotta love when you get creative. Use a fence for a net.
You know what? You paid 51.49, but
Well, we did see yesterday, too. Using a spoon for a net was the game prep for the Brooklyn Blaze.
Right, yeah. All these Starbucks implements employed in the game planning of the Brooklyn Blaze.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, lots of creativity goes into being a high-level athlete.
That ball's out of the reach of Kane Shalk, and this partnership on the side of Shalk and Shaw has actually been a long time coming. I remember standing with Kane watching in Huntington Beach last season the play of James Shaw, and he was eyeing him specifically because of his serving power, and he goes, I don't know, that might be the guy for me next season. And lo and behold, I joke with him that I actually set this partnership up. They play along with it just to appease me.
You noticed some Pavlovian salivation going on?
Yes.
Yeah.
But it was interesting too, because James has kind of talked about Kane and just being in a former partnership and some of the adversity that struck that partnership. And he said he's really excited to play alongside him and kind of teach the old dog some new tricks in terms of their skill set as this ball goes well outside the sand.
Just 54, but great placement on that serve again. I mean, just in the mid-50s, James Shaw on fire from the service line. Phil talked about his fastball, but those are legitimate Paul Skeens level fastballs.
I've seen 53, 54, 56. That one gets some tape, and it's a 57. 6'8" versus 6'9". And it's Phil who wins out.
Phil going up with the lefty knuckle on the joust, and, you know, lest you think that that's accidental or anything other than perfectly under his control. Think again. But they need to come up with some points here. They haven't really been able to score any quote-unquote real points on their serve.
Shaw from the left side.
Wow, what a swing.
That is a lightning strike from the Mayhem. 14-10, bringing us right to set point.
That cross-body action, fantastic. We saw him go with the wild cutty away from the body, and to pair it with that is something special.
Phil with the quick platform, and Kane Shalk is right there for the dig. Open net opportunity, and it's Phil with the quick touch.
Billy Bean, another scoop.
He's a Hall of Famer, and you can see why. They trailed by 3. How much damage can he do with his block?
He's going to need to do at least 3 points worth of damage, I think, right here, or we're going to see a Mayhem victory in set 1.
Big step to find the platform, and perfectly timed. Trevor Crabb must go.
Okay.
And an air ball.
Yeah,
Little air mail for you.
Salivation we referred to earlier. I think James Shaw might have been salivating a little too much on that wide open net for the set.
Well, and it's a perfect set too. Can't blame him. You want to swing as hard as possible. So another set point will come about for Shalk and Shaw, but they're going to slow this down. A couple errors on their side of the net now. I'm impressed with Trevor Crabb. I don't think he gets enough credit as you see this duo, but especially as a defender too. He's got a little bit of a limp right now as he walks off the court, but why is he such a formidable defender?
All right, so
we'll check in with the bench first.
I need 3 people who want a chance to win a Miami Mayhem jersey. I'm not going to tell you what you're doing. I need one person to like this side, anybody on this side. Let's go, you're the first hand that side.
You want to grab somebody?
Yeah, the girl in the right next to camera.
Yeah, red shirt. Yeah. Tell her that in between sets.
So right now they're discussing a potential medical timeout right now. You saw Trevor Crabb grabbing that right quad. Again, we will not speculate too far on what's to take place here, but I believe they will ask for a medical timeout. He's walking back cross court.
So to go to your earlier question, what makes him so formidable defensively?
Hold on real quick here. Trevor's going to play through it right now. They asked to potentially go to the medic.
On the changeover between sets, they're going to have her address that.
So set point remains for the Mayhem here, but we'll go back to that thought in a second. as Phil drops the southpaw hand and finds one more, 13-14. Time for a little monster block action for you. They're well educated. 13-14, looking for the tie. Set point, still there as that ball is bounced from the sand and out of the arena. Shalk and Shaw survived in set one.
Kind of interesting. They got the first one off of a short serve to Shalk, which I like that play. They got the big stuff on Shaw and decided to go to him again. And he comes up with the winner. Right there, undeterred.
Shalk and Shaw picked up a 3-set win last night, and they're off to a great start here against the Palm Beach Passion. Looking to go undefeated this weekend. You can see Trevor Crabb getting worked on right now. Again, there's that left quad, like we mentioned. He thought about maybe taking that medical timeout, so they're going to give him a bit more time here in between sets 1 and sets 2. Hopefully that clears out. This Tuesday on NXT, wrestling's #1 women's division takes center stage with 4 high-stakes qualifying matches where the winners get one step closer to facing JC Jane for the NXT Women's Championship. NXT Tuesday at 8/7 Central, right here on the CW. It's an all-out brawl between the Palm Beach Passion and the Miami Mayhem. 2 teams fighting to take over the state of Florida. And this man playing for his state and right alongside one of his very dear friends and former AVP pro, Matt Heath, who played back till about 2009, and currently standing alongside Phil Dalhausser. And these two actually started playing beach volleyball behind the home of another AVP pro, Adam Roberts. Parents owned a house in Florida. They all rented it. It was Nick Lucena, Matt, Phil, and Adam, and they trained in the afternoons. And Phil Dalhausser, little did they realize, would become the greatest beach volleyball player in history. And actually, they got a chance to play against one another. This is awesome. Matt Heath on the right side of the screen. That's Nick Lucena, of course, the Olympian in his own right and longtime partner of Phil Dalhausser. Adam Roberts on the left. I asked Phil for a photo of the court itself, and he said, couldn't come up with a photo of the court, but how about one of us two dueling it out?
You might get 1 or 2, and then you get 1 or 2, and he gets a couple out.
I appreciate how long and baggy the shorts were back then.
Yeah. So they've taped up Trevor Crabb. He played to close out that first set, even though he was limping off the court. And right now, you wonder, how will this affect the game?
Yeah, it's always tough to know. A lot of tape on the side of the Palm Beach Passion men's squad, though, between the calf of Phil and now the thigh of Trevor Crabb. I would guess that it's a little bit of a strain based on kind of how they treated it. As we look at the first set stats, Palm Beach Passion hitting a better number, kind of surprisingly.
For Trevor Crabb, 364, Shalk 500. And as set 2 continues, will Dalhausser and Crabb find the advantage? Quick set behind. There's the offensive rhythm changed on the side of Miami.
And interesting. I think, you know, James Shaw, by nature of being kind of that opposite hitter, like we talked about from an indoor standpoint, comfortable on the right side. So maybe looking to go around to the right a little bit more frequently when the pass allows.
I love hearing the oohs and ahs. Over 20 seasons with the AVP. And you still hear the excitement of what Phil Dalhausser can do.
I mean, he is a Florida product, so being here in Florida, people are going to appreciate it maybe a little extra notch to see Phil in action.
Selfies he's had to take this weekend. As that's a perfect ball for Phil to take over.
Yeah, good effort to try and pull that out of the net by Shaw, but it just sits up beautifully as you take a look. Philly, a little hop, step, and crunch.
Phil Dalhausser announced his retirement from professional beach volleyball prior to the start of this season. He chose Trevor Crabb to be the one to have his swan song alongside. As that's sent to the corner, and Kevin Barnett, what do you have for us?
I was talking to Kelly Chang down here, the Miami Mayhem, currently cheering on the men's side, and I said, what can you bring? What'd you learn last year? She said, I loved last year on the New York Nitro, cheering on the Taylors. She said, I still cheer for the Taylors. I cheered for them tonight. We were looking forward to being a part of their team this year, but nope, she had to switch franchises. She's down in Miami. They haven't collaborated quite as much off the court, but right now, they are the hype women. That's their main role. Bring the energy for the guys on the court. She said, when we're playing, they're our hype men. So you can draw not only from your partnership, but you can also draw from your city franchise.
It's a great call by you. Pulling from the sidelines, from spouses, from teammates, as another cut hits the sand.
Yeah, I mean, Trev just does not look comfortable right now. It's always a little bit dangerous to kind of write somebody off because they look hobbled, especially someone with kind of the competitive fire of a Trevor Crabb. But it has to impact his ability to chase balls down. And serving Phil Dalhausser, even if you try and go up the middle, not necessarily a wise choice if you're the Mayhem.
Can Phil Dalhausser and Trevor Crabb win this match with just 2 legs? What's the over-under on that one?
On the number of legs they use to win?
Something I never thought I'd say in a broadcast. 2-point lead. High pass. Better set. What do you think the differential is in terms of power from James Shaw from the service line to his attack?
How do you mean?
From a miles per hour? Yeah.
No, I mean, I think it's probably pretty similar. You know, he's hitting the ball just as hard, I would think, but you just have a split second more time to react to it from the service line because it's got to travel a greater distance, obviously. Oh.
What a save from Trevor Crabb. That was 51 miles an hour as Shalk does a roundabout to find the save. Trevor, he only needs 6 inches of vertical.
How about that play all around from Trevor Crabb? Not only the one-arm kind of last-second pass off the shoelaces, but then the sprawling pickup and the roll shot. There was a good look at it. That's a great dig from Kame Shalk as well. This little get, one-arm layout, no approach, up over the big fella.
These two teams will meet in consecutive contests. Next up in week 5 in Los Angeles. You can catch that at the Intuit Dome.
You could see Trev almost shaking his head as that ball was going into the cross court, just feeling that he had no push in that left leg.
Only a few short weeks for Trevor Crabb to recover at the conclusion of this match, which is important. They look to have him side out. I mean, how is he doing this?
Well, he's a guy that looks for ways to have a chip on his shoulder, right? He likes to ignite conversation. He likes to get trash talk going. He likes to put himself in positions where he has to show up and perform because he's talked so much that it necessitates it, right? And so this is maybe just one of those opportunities where he didn't create it. He would prefer if he was 100% healthy, but it's a chance to have his back against that wall and look to perform.
Oohs and ahs on that Phil Dalhausser serve. Just again to give some context, as impressive as that was, it was only 45 miles per hour. So a 10-point differential between that of Phil Dalhausser and James Shaw, who's now up to serve. Net helping that slow that down for Trevor Crabb. He has to be perfect right now.
Yeah, obviously he's shooting the ball around, and he's got a big 6'8" block in front of him. He's got to work his way up and over or kind of around that block. And you mentioned it, precision is in order, and he finds it there.
While they change ends, we'll get a chance to look at our upcoming schedule. We mentioned the Hamptons are coming up next, as well as Los Angeles. The Intuit Dome has never seen beach volleyball before, and man, are they going to get a welcome with the AVP League. New York City, how about Central Park for you? Take a stroll right on to the sand. That will be an outdoor venue. And then we'll move on to the great state of Texas, back-to-back weeks 7 and 8 from Austin to Dallas. Ooh, that was a dicey set. I can't believe that didn't get called.
Yeah, the entire Wayfair Arena in unison oohing at that one as it came off of both of James Shaw's thumbs at different times.
The waving fingers in the air. Those aren't peace fingers. They're calling for the double contact.
Right.
There was a look back at it. So double contact on the set means that you're not getting simultaneous contact. It must be a clean contact.
Oh, dear Lord, Cameron. How about the angle from Phil on that tight set? Just managing to slice that.
There's a new sound that came out of you.
Yeah, sorry to get a little excited.
The Palm Beach Passion fans are getting excited here late in set number 2. A 2-point differential. Phil changing up the service pressure. He talked about at the beginning of this show, finding a way to get that fastball in and then trying to dial it up with that topspin serve.
Well, what I love is kind of how I'm perceiving this is him trying to step up his game to kind of offset maybe a little bit of a hobbled partner. So trying to find a little extra service pressure with that jump serve that's been such a weapon of his for basically the entirety of his career. You know, trying to take some of those middle balls, trying to go a little bit option if he has the opportunity. And that's just, you know, yet another hallmark of a champion.
We used to call him Phil doing Phil things. Sunday Phil, you always had to be wary of. Let's see how far he can dial up that mentality here late in set 2.
Yeah, I mean, it's a side-out battle at this point. No team really able to score on their serve.
One of the best setters in the world falls down and now has to find his feet and a block. A chaotic play goes the direction of the Mayhem, tying the score 10 apiece.
Yeah, a little bit of a reverse jinx, saying nobody's scoring on their serve, and Came and James promptly do just that.
Who's rooting for the Palm Beach Passion?
Utilizing the depth of the court is Came Shaw. Aces to errors. They're making Trevor Crabb work for every side out.
Yeah, that's a tremendous short serve again from Came Shalk. As you said, making Trevor Crabb work to crash in, get underneath that thing, and then he has little to no approach. Still finds just enough pop up the line.
Talked about the grit of Trevor Crabb, the 4-time Manhattan Beach Open champion. Little grit came in that very first title back in 2019. You see the numbers, I mean, astonishing. 519 to 500 for these two. As Phil sends the hands high and can't come away with it.
Well, it happened so quickly, Phil didn't have enough time to get all the way to the net and kind of finish forming that block. A good aggressive swing from Shaw on 2. Now those hitting numbers indicative of just how hard it is for both of these teams to score real points. Both hitting 500 and up.
Looking for trouble, James Shaw. Phil from the top deck. Came Shaw retreats. Shift to his left, to his right, and it is sent to the sand. Phil Dalhausser in transition.
It's little things like that. I mean, it's, you know, that's half-hearted support from Melissa. Checking the Instagram, maybe posting that play to Instagram for her teammates. But you know, throwing the free ball over to Phil instead of Trevor's way, I think is, you know, something you can maybe upgrade there if you're the Mayhem through the course of that play.
James Shaw tries to find the cut, working to the right side.
It's a play that's been working for them. It's kind of a good choice, but I think that set maybe just a little bit further off than James is accustomed to having it. Tries to go to the chop shot and misses.
Timeout called. Crab and Dalhausser looking to force a third set. They're just 2 points away. Right along with local law enforcement in the CW's action-packed unscripted series that gives viewers a raw, unfiltered look into police departments across the U.S. Police 24/7 this Thursday at 8, 7 Central, right here on the CW. Sound the alarm for the Miami Mayhem as Kame Shalk and James Shaw look to find their team identity. Again, when you're forming these teams, you kind of have to figure out who you are in high-pressure situations. What do you know about these two athletes that tells you, hey, they might be able to pull this off?
Yeah, well, I mean, both of them have been in plenty of these types of situations, right?
Right. You see what I'm saying? Like, 'cause then you don't have to like jump and like challenge them at the pin.
Yeah, it is interesting though when you kind of go from maybe an indoor arena to the beach, and it's a little bit of a new environment. You hope a lot of that pressure situation experience transfers over, and most of the time I think that's true, but these are, you know, technically different situations, so you just kind of have to grind your way through them. Rely on the experience you have and hopefully kind of develop more experience in this environment as well.
A true test in chemistry right now between these two athletes. As Shaw tries to retreat, and Crab and Dalhausser send one more. It is now set point for the Palm Beach Passion.
Thigh strain or no, Trevor Crab's dialogue will not be deterred.
From an injured calf to a hurting quad, the Palm Beach Passion looking for set 3. Not so fast. Shaw attacks the block.
Yeah, nice swing kind of up the seam, up the middle of the court. Phil was reaching out to the line to get the stuff there and just barely misses.
They've been testing the short serve against Trevor Crab. They force him to bend here. Full layout and a muscle down. And neither one of them wants to run those legs. 13-14.
I think they thought that another contact was coming there. Kame just kind of zipped it over on 2. And if you ever watched the movie Mr. Deeds, I think the Palm Beach Passion underestimated his sneakiness.
That's a good call. Another timeout taken. 14-13, Crab and Dalhausser. Let's listen in.
Right, so start back, and when he goes to toss, you know what I mean? Like if you're hurt, you know what I'm saying? Like start back there, and when he makes his toss, and if they burn you deep, like
if you like the worm or the backflip better.
Talking about that service pressure, where will Trevor Crab set up for that first contact? Right now, they will have the opportunity to find set number 2. The number is on screen. They've dropped now on the side of Shalk and Shaw. And we've been talking about records breaking. This is going to take place time and time again, just in our second season with the AVP League. This weekend will be the first weekend in league history with 6 3-set matches if this, in fact, does go to the third.
Yeah, the Palm Beach Passion just need the one side out. I think if I understood Matt Heath correctly, he was saying kind of show that the short is available, and then sort of on the toss of Kame Shalk, crash up for that short serve, expecting them to go there again. And if you get burnt deep, you can kind of deal with it.
Set point, Palm Beach. And they close it off after the timeout.
How about that? I mean, full sort of medical attention given to Trevor Crab in between sets 1 and 2, and they come out and take set number 2 in that condition.
Gritty, facing adversity. Trevor Crab with the biggest chip on his shoulder. And I love it. They're fighting for more volleyball, more opportunities to side out just like this. They earn the right here in set number 3.
Just great vision as we see that final swing go down. That line opens up and he whacks it.
You can see just how painful it is, him hopping after that land on attack. Phil Dalhausser, Trevor Crabb, 2 wins, 1 loss thus far. The loss came to Benish and Partain in 2 sets played. But a win over Crabb and Sander last night. The little bro, you mentioned the Crab Boils numbers now on screen. 8 kills, 1 error for Phil Dalhausser. And Trevor, just 1 error for each of these athletes with 1 leg.
Yeah, it's impressive to only have 2 errors and 19 kills. I mean, that just shows you what a high level they're playing at. We've seen the offensive numbers from both of these teams, both hitting at a high clip.
On the other side, laser focus from Kame Shulk. James Shaw, 5 total hitting errors. An impressive performance, though, thus far from the right side attacker.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. 5 errors, but, you know, a lot of the service pressure has been on Shaw. They're testing him quite a bit. Kame Shaw perfect with his 9 kills, 0 errors. That doesn't mean every ball has gone down, but making no errors is quite an achievement.
Kevin Barnett, what are you looking for set number 3?
Well, what I'm looking for is can Trevor Crabb continue to tough it out? I just asked him scale of 1 to 10. Give me a grade on what's happened. He goes, yeah, quad, 8. That's not the grade you want to hear.
Yeah, 8 out of 10 is not a good sign, and you can visually see just how much pain he's in, but he is fighting to find set number 3 back on the defensive side. And does this mean that Phil Dalhausser is just going to try and make even bigger moves at the net?
You know, I mean, I think what they did in the second set was great. We talked about Phil trying to pick up the slack a little bit, up his service pressure, take some of the middle balls, you know, kind of pinch his partner and take more of the service reception responsibility. You know, when you're James Shaw, if you're trying to hit Trevor Crabb with that great jump serve and the area seems smaller, sometimes that can feel claustrophobic a little bit, make it tougher for you to find that good rhythm on your serve. So I think the Palm Beach Passion will be looking to kind of give those type of optics to their opponent.
After this point, we'll check back in with Kevin Barnett. Kevin, your thoughts?
This is one of those situations where it's a mental test. And it's a mental test for the Miami Mayhem, right? It's a physical test for Trevor and for Phil, but for the Mayhem, this is how do you execute your game but try and take advantage of the situation? How much do you change your game and what you're trying to do? How much do you try and serve Trevor every ball versus best serve? This is a real, I don't know, opportunity for Miami to show themselves something that they're capable of doing here, playing their game and not worrying so much about making the opponent be worse.
Yeah, you make a great point. It's back to that conversation that adversity can create identity. And it's moments like these that can really shape this partnership, and especially in context to the Cup standings. For these 2 teams, as James Shaw points to the sand block and bounds, this could be a difference maker late in the season, this match in week 3.
Yeah, absolutely. I like Kevin's point too, that they've just got to focus on what they do. I don't think you want to change your game at all just because you feel like one of your opponents is hobbled. You know, I would liken it to the prevent defense in football, where teams allow these great comebacks because they change what got them to this big lead in the first place. So they've just got to stay with what is working for them and what does work for them. Great dig from Kame. Oh my goodness, off the side of the fingertips and down for Phil.
Like a twisting top, Phil Dalhausser shapes those hands and somehow that ball stays in bounds.
Well, that's a couple blocks in transition now, back to back. One for Shaw on Trevor Crabb, and then one for Big Phil on Kame Shulk. And that play to keep us level on 3.
Three apiece. Will the Miami Mayhem remain undefeated on the men's side? A 3-set win last night. Could they come up with a second now? Shulk checks down.
Oh my goodness. There's something you will not see maybe ever again.
I think that's the first double contact we've ever seen for Phil Dalhausser.
Well, certainly that egregious of one where it just falls completely through his hands.
I wonder if he found a spotlight. And this time it isn't the sun. 4-3. Jumping off of one leg, landing on one leg, Trevor Crabb.
Yeah, you got to think, you know, even at an 8 out of 10, like Kev said on the pain scale, that Trevor loves this challenge for himself. He loves these opportunities to kind of show his grit.
Out of the middle for Shalk. Another dig. Trevor Crabb. He has to practically be standing where the ball is already going to.
Well, yeah, so what he's got to do defensively, right, is make those good kind of pre-reads where he's slowly positioning himself one way or the other, and he's done that on back-to-back plays here. Gets the great contact in Philly with the lefty put away.
I haven't seen an athlete play through something like this, maybe ever, with the AVP.
And that's a great serve as well. That's kind of the second serve that Phil was talking about, but executed by Trevor Crabb this time, where it looks flat, it looks like a fastball, and then just kind of dies short, jumps off of Kame's arms.
Last point, the work was done from the service line. Crabb chooses to play defense here. And a strong swing from Shaw.
Yeah, interestingly, going to Shaw there after a couple points on Shalk.
An interesting thought, because you mentioned that Shaw had played on the right side internationally from being a setter as well as an opposite. Now on the left side, it kind of makes you wonder what the angles and how much brain power has gone into that, as another strong serve. That one 53 miles per hour.
Philly with a great roll shot over the top. I mean, just doing a phenomenal job of fighting off these bullets from James Shaw on the end line. You can see, I mean, even getting in position to set that ball, a chore for Trevor Crabb right now.
Phil, plenty of depth in that serve. From off the net, and that's a great way to get a team out of system. Only 2 teams in league play have found a 4-0 weekend. It was the Nitro in 2024 in week 1, the Launch in 2025 in week 2, as they sit at a perfect 4-0 in just their first event played. And the Palm Beach Passion, that's what's at stake. This could be the 3rd time in league history that a team goes 4-0 on the weekend between their men's and their women's pairings. Now a 5-1 run for Crabb and Dalhausser. Nobody home. Phil chooses to try and find a soft block.
Yeah, it's interesting because, again, that happens so quickly that he's not all the way at the net, so he's got to make a decision to either be completely irrelevant on defense or try and back up, play a little bit of defense, and this time anyways he chose wrong.
Between each point, the crowd quiets, anticipates what's coming next. Maybe another big swing, maybe a service error, and then Trevor Crabb urging them onto his side.
Yeah, noticing a little bit of love from the front row there and giving it back to him. Now a 3-point advantage.
I mean, Miami does love its nightlife, as does the CW. Saturday nights right here all summer long with the CW and AVP League.
That's a really good shot from Kame Shalk. That set getting tight. He had to kind of extend through that ball to get it past Phil.
How much of an impact can Shaw have?
Big one, 55, Cam. That is not only 55, but 55 to the body high.
So in this case, considering the opponents both struggling to move, is it better for power or placement? or just best serve in general if you're James Shaw?
Yeah, I think it's your best serve. You know, he's kind of your green light guy. So trying to get a little cute there, and yeah, in my opinion anyways, that's a mistake. Hit your best serve. It's kind of like Kevin talked about. Are you changing what you're trying to do, what works for your team based on your opponent, or are you kind of doing the best thing for yourselves? And that's what they need to be doing on the side of the Mayhem.
Just 2 aces through 3 sets played between these two teams. I mean, I think it's because you got passing like that.
Yeah.
Magic from Kane Shalk.
Just full twisty layout and perfection in the service reception from Kane Shalk.
When your first contact, when the side out pass looks like a full layout dig, you know it's a strong serve. Short float, some confusion, and clarity.
Nicely done. I was going to say that fixes any confusion right there when Philly feasts.
Nell and Brandy supporting their crew.
Yeah, it was kind of one of the things that we talked about, right? Phil working hard to take that short middle ball. Trevor just reacting to it kind of instinctively. Phil doing a nice job picking up that slack.
Sidewinder of a pass from Shaw. And a perfect touch, light touch from Shaw.
Yeah, Phil kind of reading that a shot was coming, going up high with the hands, but just slithering it by was James Shaw.
Could this match be the difference maker come week 8? Four points away for either one of these teams. Excuse me, 3 points for Palm Beach. Shalk and Shaw need to do some work.
So going back to your earlier question, Cam, after a couple successive service errors from Shaw, I would say he's got to be swinging at the meat of the court. So it's going to be power over placement for him. Just find the court, hit something hard.
Like that? Oh, Phil doing Phil things.
Yeah, we were kind of screened. I think Kame is asking for a foot fault there from Phil. He was awfully close. We couldn't see the end line.
Kame picking up the sideline with his foot right now.
Mel has decided to put her phone away, locked in on her team's performance, and said, no, he was good.
She's got the perfect advantage point right now on the sideline. And the frustration that leads to a timeout, 13-10. I don't know, did you see a football violation?
I did not. Like, we were kind of blocked out by the line judge, at least I was.
Just the first ace for Dalhausser and Crab in this entire match, and perfect timing. Probably one of the gutsiest performances we have seen from an AVP League team.
Yeah, absolutely.
And not surprising.
Yeah, there's always bumps and bruises, right? But, I mean, kind of an 8 out of 10 thigh strain, the heavy tape on the calf of Phil.
They felt like they're hitting their stride, and right now they're looking to continue that sprint. Looking to improve to 3-1 are Dalhausser and Crab. Their team is at 5-2. They will still remain just below the LA Launch, who is a perfect 4-0. Again, it's dependent on your win-loss record. Percentage is the important part right there. So the 4-0, that's 100% for LA. So even still 2 wins back, they will have the lead in the Cup standings. Palm Beach would be just behind them. As another ace comes at the hand of a legend. Get up on your feet, South Beach.
It's really nice if your thigh hurts a little bit, if you can just watch Philly do what he does and hit back-to-back aces late in the match and give you 4 match points.
Match point for Palm Beach. Out of system, Phil retreats. Through pain, they find glory. 15-10, set 3.
Phil coming up with his hardest serve as the last one, 53 on the radar gun, and it was a beauty.
A wild performance, a pre-match injury, an in-match injury, and yet the Palm Beach Passion find a 4th win in week 3 to close things out. Phil Dalhausser and Trevor Crabb helped the Palm Beach Passion do something that's only been done twice before, a perfect 4-0 weekend. Kevin Barnett with our winners. Go ahead.
Maybe the grittiest performance we've ever seen, certainly in AVP League play. Trevor, you get hurt. What immediately do you start thinking mentally?
Well, first of all, definitely wasn't going to quit. It wasn't that bad enough to quit, but I just, you just keep grinding, and when you got Phil bombing some aces, especially in the 3rd set, that helps a lot,
Yeah, and Phil, you look like you just kicked it up a notch. Did you always have that in the reservoir, and what did you start to do to support him?
I mean, I felt like we were playing with the house's money. Both of us are banged up, and I was like, I might as well go for it. There's nothing to lose, really.
Time to heal to go to week 5. We'll see you in LA.
All right, sounds good.
A little time to heal, just about 2 weeks time to heal for Phil Dalhausser and Trevor Crabb. A remarkable performance. We'll wrap up the AVP League week 3 on the other side of this break.